Dear students, welcome to Python application programming. So in this lecture we will be discussing module 5, that is networked programs and web services. So this is Shilpa Shetty, Assistant Professor, Department of Information Science and Engineering, AJIET, Mangalore. So this is the first session of module 5. So we have already finished 4 sessions where we have discussed all the concepts of basic concepts of a programming language. We have discussed topics related to how to write a Python program, list tuples, dictionaries. Also we have discussed object oriented concepts, then and so on. So in this module we will be discussing how to access data from the web by writing a Python program, by making use of the socket module that is provided by Python for this purpose. So some topics like HTTP, XML, JSON, etc. will be discussed in this module. So here we start with the first session of this module. So in the first session we will be discussing networked programs. So in this era of internet, it is a requirement in many situations to retrieve the data from web and process it. So whenever we have to search anything, whenever we need any information, earlier people used to go to the library and search, but these days we don't do that. We just search the information over the internet. So in this session we will discuss basics of network protocols and Python libraries available to extract data from web. So how we can extract data from web by using a Python program, so that will be discussed in this session. So first let us begin with Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So Hypertext Transfer Protocol is the media through which we can retrieve web-based data. The HTTP is an application protocol for distributed and hypermedia information system. HTTP is the foundation for data communication for wide web. Hypertext is a structured text that uses logical links, which are also called as hyperlinks, between the nodes containing text. So you're all familiar with HTTP. So whenever we have to browse anything from the net, so the URL of the page that we are connected to, or we would like to connect to, begins with HTTP. So that is the set of protocol that is used. So that is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So whenever you have to access any information over the distributed system, it could be either text or media, we make use of the Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So this is the basic foundation for accessing data from World Wide Web. So there is, in Hypertext Transfer Protocol, we are using something called as hypertext. So it is a structured text that uses logical links between nodes containing text. So these hypertexts are some text on which if you click, you are taken to one more web page. For example, say if you have opened Wikipedia, you see that some texts are written in blue color while the normal contents will be in black. In that, some of the texts are written in, say, blue color. And what you observe is, if you click on those texts, that is the texts that are written in blue, you will be taken to one more page. So that such kind of texts are called as hypertext. So HTTP is the protocol to exchange or transfer hypertext. So let us consider a situation. So you try to read a socket, but the program on the other end of the socket has not sent any data that you need to. Then we need to wait. That means you have written a program to access data, but the program on the other end has not responded to you yet. You have not received the data. So if the programs on both the ends of the socket simply wait for some data without sending anything. So here the source and destination, suppose that both are waiting for data, but say both are not sending the data, then what happens? The wait will prolong. So there is a long wait. So an important part of programs that communicate over the internet is to have some sort of protocol. So there should be a protocol so that can handle such a situation. So what is a protocol? A protocol is a set of precise rules that determine who will send request, for what purpose, what action to be taken, what response to be given. So who is going to send the first request, who is going to send next, all this is decided by the protocol. Also what action has to be taken. So whenever a request is made, how the request has to be served and how the response has to be given. So to send request and to receive a response, HTTP uses get and post method. So whenever you make a request to access any information from the web, so your request will be placed by using a get message in HTTP. Similarly, post method is used to send the response by the server. So the world's simplest web browser. So here we will discuss how we can write Python program such that it makes connection to the web browser and follows the rules of HTTP protocol to request a document and display what the server sends back. So the built-in module socket of Python facilitates the programmer to make network connection and to retrieve data over those sockets in a Python program. So Python provides you a module called as socket, using which you can connect to the network and retrieve the data. A socket is a bidirectional path to a remote system. So bidirectional means you can send as well as receive the data. It is two-way. A socket is much like a file, except that a single socket provides two-way connection between the two programs. You can both read from and write data to the same socket. So from one end, one socket, you can either place a request as also you can receive the response. So if you write something to a socket, it is sent to the application at the other end of the socket. If you read from the socket, you are given the data which the application has sent. So when you write something, your request is sent to the application, whereas when you read, the data is sent as a response by the application, by the other application, or the destination will be received to you, that is, will be sent to you. So let us discuss a very simple program to retrieve data from the web page. So before going to the program, we need to understand few terms that are used in the program. The first term that is used is AF_INET. So this variable tells what type of address is being used in the socket. So whether you are using the category of address that is used by you, that is set here. So when you write AF_INET, it means that you are using IP address. So it is an address family. So here in this, so it means it is here, it's IP address that is used to designate the type of addresses that your socket can communicate with. So when you create a socket, you need to specify its address family. So this part is a must, and then you can use only the address of that type with the socket. So now because you have used AF_INET, you have to use only IP addresses here. The other term is sock_stream. So it is a constant. So sock_stream is a constant indicating the type of socket, that is what type of connection you are making. So sock_stream tells that you are making a TCP connection, that is Transmission Control Protocol. So TCP connection is made that is indicated by sock stream. So it works as a file stream and is most reliable over the network. So we know that TCP is the most reliable form of connection. So the next term is port. So port is a logical end port. So we all know what is a port. We have discussed, we have different types of port. For example, port 80 is one of the most commonly used port numbers in the TCP protocol suite. So in TCP, whenever we have to place any request or to receive data, we use port number 80. So the command to retrieve the data must use CRLF, that is carriage return line feed line endings. So and it must end in /r, /n, /r/n, that is line break in protocol specification. So whenever you have to write command to retrieve the data, you have to use these characters. These characters are called as carriage return line feed, that tells how the line will end. So there are few more methods that you will be using. Encode. The first method is encode. Encode method is applied on strings and it will return byte representation of the string. So instead of encode, one can also attach the character B at the beginning of the string for the same effect. That means whenever you use encode, whatever string is there, so it will be returned in the form of its byte representation. So either you can use encode or you can use character B at the beginning of the particular string. Decode method returns string decoded from the given bytes. So when you use decode, whatever string has been encoded in terms of bytes, so that bytes, it will be converted back to the string format and it will be returned by the decode method. So here the figure shows how we can connect through to the web by using the socket module. So Python provides you a module called socket. So first you have to import the module socket, then we need to connect to the web page, and then we need to send our request. The requested page has to be the required page has to be requested, and once the request is sent to the other application, we will receive the request. And all these things happen with the help of the socket module. And port number 80, as we discussed, is used to connect to the in the HTTP protocol. Let us write a simple Python program that makes a connection to a web server and follows the rules of HTTP protocol to request a document and display what the server sends back. So first we write import socket. So this is the module that is provided by Python to establish connection to the web server. So after that we will create a socket of our own, that is mysock. Mysock is equal to socket.socket. So we are creating a socket and that socket is present in socket module. So we write socket.socket, socket.af_inet. So it means we are using IP address, then socket.sockstream, which tells that we will be using the TCP protocol suite. So once we create a socket, so we will, through this socket, we will we will tell to which web server we need to connect. So we have written mysock.connect data.pr4e.org. That means we are trying to connect to www.data.pr4e.org through port number 80. So port number 80 is the commonly used protocol port in TCP. So once we have established the connection with the server, so now we need to make a request request for the document that we would like to receive. So first let us frame the command line here. So we'll take a variable called cmd in which we will write our command, and we know that whenever we have to place a request, we need to write the get method. So we write get followed by the URL of the file that we would like to access. So here we are accessing romeo.txt text file from the web server which we have connected, and then we have written /r/n. So the HTTP, so we know that our program is playing the role of web browser. That means we are trying to connect to the browser, and it's something like in browser what do is we place a request and we receive the output. So same way here we are placing request for a document. So the HTTP protocol says we must send the get command followed by a blank line. So this is what the HTTP protocol says. So what we do is, after writing the name of the text that we want to receive, we will write /r/n 2 times, and we know that /r/n represent end of line. So if we write to end of line continuously, it means there is nothing in between the two E of L sequences, that is end of line sequences. That means it is equivalent to a blank line. That means there is no character between two end of lines, so which means it is a blank line. So once we have written the command, we need to send this command. So we write mysocket.send cmd. So cmd, now what happens, we are placing a request for romeo.txt file from the web server. So once we have sent the request, we know that the data will be received. So what we are doing is, so we see that in the next part we have written a while loop. So what this while loop does is, so it receives the data. So data is equal to mysock.receive recv of 512. So here 512 indicates the number of characters that we want to receive from that text file. So data is equal to mysock.receive 512. So we can write any number according to how many bytes or how many characters we would like to receive here. So if length of data less than 1, that means we have placed request for 512 bytes. So let us take that length of data is less than 5, which means we have not received anything. Then we will not do anything. We will just come out of the while loop. So we have written break. Otherwise, so if we do not come out of the while loop, it means the length of the data is greater than or equal to 1, which means we have received some data. So whatever data we have received, we have to decode that data, because if you take a look at the command line there, so it ends with encode. That means whatever data that is requested will be encoded and sent to you. That is, it will be converted to byte format. So now if you want it to be in the form of a string, then we need to decode that data. So we write print data.decode, end is equal to double quote. So that is what we write here. So whatever data we want like to receive, so that is written. Whatever data we have received, we are just trying to print that data. So once we are done with printing, let us close this connection. So we write mysock.close. So we are disconnecting from the web server. So here is the sample program. Here is a screenshot of the program while executing in PyCharm. So this is a program. You can see part of the output here. This is the in the lower screen. So this is the text that is received from the web server. So to the whichever the web server we have connected, from this we have received these documents. But I think this shows only the part of the output. The complete output is here. So here what you can see is, you can see some more parameters before the actual output. So we see that the output starts with headers which the web server sends to describe the document. For example, content type. So content type is it's text/plain, which means that the document is a plain text document. So after the server sends headers, it adds a blank line to indicate end of the header. So after content type, you can see that there is a blank line there, so which indicates end of the header. So the next one is the actual document from the Romeo.txt file. So we can see some 4 lines there, but that is the 512 characters that is received from the text file. So this example shows how to make a low-level network connection with sockets, and sockets can be used to communicate with the web server or with the mail server or many other kinds of servers. So all that is needed is to find the document which describes the protocol and write the code to send and receive the data according to the protocol. So when we run the above program, we have already seen the output here. So we will get some information related to the website server of the website to which we are trying to connect. Then we will get the data returned in that web page. So in this program, we are extracting 512 bytes of data at a time, and then the extracted data is decoded and then it is printed. So when the length of the data becomes less than 1, so that is there is no more data left out on the web page, the loop will get terminated. So now let us see how we can retrieve an image over HTTP. So here we are discussing a very simple program. So here, instead of previous program, okay, so in the previous program we have seen we are extracting some bytes from the web server and then we are displaying it. So but here what we do is, here we try to extract image data in chunks of 5120 bytes at a time and store the data in a string and trim off the headers and then store the image file on the disk. So the program is like this. First let us import the socket module. So we have discussed already socket module using which we can establish connection to the web server. So and also we know that we would like to receive the data in chunks of 5120 bytes at a time. So just to view how the process takes place, so we would like to keep a delay in our program, so that's why we are importing the time module. So after that we have taken two variables here, host and port. In the host variable we have stored the name of the host, that is name of the server to which we would like to connect, that is www.data.pr4e.org. Also the next variable port indicates the port number through which we would like to connect, it is 80. So next we will create a socket. So my socket.af_inet socket.sockstream. So that is telling we are using IP address and we are using TCP protocol. So then we will try to establish connection with the host. So we write mysock.connect host comma port. Host and port are already defined with the name of the web server to which we want to connect and the port number. So we will just placing those variable names here. So we will try to establish connection with the host using port number 80. So once we have established the connection, we need to send the message, that is we need to request the data that we would like to receive. So that is mysock.sendAll b get command. So we have already discussed that get command has to be get method is used to request the data. So to get followed by the URL of the data we would like to receive. So we would like to receive a image called cover3.jpg from data.pr4e.org, and we know that the get method has to end with a blank line. So we have written \r\n 2 times. So but here if you observe this line as compared to the previous one, in the previous one we have written dot encode at the end, that is used to receive the data in encoded format, whereas here it is not written. But if you observe the beginning here, that is just before the get method, we have written B, so which means that B is similar to encode. Either we can write dot encode or we can write B at the beginning. So the data will be sent in the binary, that is byte representation. So next we have taken a variable called count, which is initialized to 0. So this is to keep track of the total number of bytes we have received. So then we'll create a variable called picture. So B, again this is an empty string here, because we have two consecutive double quotes, which indicates a empty string, and we have written again B at the beginning, so it means it is in the byte representation, that is in the binary format. So this is where we will store the data that is received by us. So now we have written a while loop. So let's see what this while loop does. So data is equal to mysock.receive 5120. That means we are telling we have to receive 5120 bytes from the requested page. So if length of data less than 1, that means if there is no data being received, we can stop till we finish that image. So once we have reached the end, we will not receive any data. In that case, we can just come out of the while loop. Otherwise, once we receive the data, let us put a delay in the program. So we write time.sleep 0.05. So for 0.05 seconds, the program will be sleeping. So next, count is equal to count plus length of data. So I told you count is used to keep track of how many bytes of data has been received, which is initialized to 0. As we receive the data in 5120 bytes, we will just add the length of data to the count, already existing count. That is, see, at the end we may not receive 5120 byte, we may receive less than that also, if there are, because the size of the image need not be multiple of 5120. So that's why instead of simply writing 5120 each time, we just write it as length of data. So how many bytes are received, so that will be added to count. So after that, we print the length of data that is received as well as the count. Also the picture, we are updating the picture now. Picture is equal to picture plus data. Remember, now the picture is in binary format. So once this process continues, so what happens here basically is, every time 5120 bytes of data is received, and then it is just added to the picture. That is we just keep on adding it, so until we finish retrieve the complete picture. So at the end of this, we will close the connection. So we write mysock.close. So the next part, POS is equal to picture.find \rn/rn. So this is used to find the header. So we know that the header ends with two carriage return line feed character. So we will search that, and then this is because we do not want to display the header in this program. So that's the reason we will find the end of the header, and end of the header is indicated by a blank line. That is two carriage return characters. So print header length, position. So we will print the length of the header. So the point where we find the CRLF character, it means it is end of the header. So we will display the end of header. So after that, we will display the picture. So what we do is picture : .pos.decode. So when we display the picture, we will decode the picture, and then we will display the picture, that is the length of the header. So next, so now what we do is we have to actually save the picture properly, excluding the header. So what we do, we write picture is equal to picture plus position plus 4 colon. That means we start saving the picture from the point where the header closes. So that means we will skip the header and only the remaining portion we will take. So from the position plus 4 bytes that these carriage written characters will be there, right? So we will skip that, and from there till the end we will be saving the program. The next one, so once we save the image starting from the actual image excluding the header, we can just open that image. That is, we are creating a variable open, that is from the file. So open, we'll try to open the file that is stuff.jpg.wb. so the image will be stored here as stuff.apg. so then we will write that picture. So we will create a file called stuff.apg. basically we will open that file so in the binary format. So then we will write the image to that file. So the image is in picture. Now that will be returned to that file that we have opened, that is stuff.apg. I hope this is clear. So what we do here basically is we will skip the header and the remaining portion of the image will be saved. So for that we first create a file called stuff.apg. Then we will open that file and in that we will write the picture. So then we can close. So this is the program. So if you want to see the picture, the picture will be the stuff.jpg file will be created in the current directory. So you need to go to the current directory and open that file. So once we do this, we can close the file. So we will close the file handling variable, that is fhand.close. So when we run the program, the amount of data in bytes retrieved from the internet is displayed in the cumulative format. So the total sum is found out and it is displayed. So at the end, the image file stuff.jpg will be stored in the current working directory. So this is how the program will look like. So here it has not received the data correctly. I think due to some format problem. But the amount of data received is 512 bytes and header length it's indicating -1. So if you have to actually see the data, but what you can see is in this so here you can see this file that is created, that is stuff.jpg. See, this is the file that is created, and here in this the actual image will be present. Suppose that the path and the image are correct. So that's all we have for this session. Thank you very much for watching.